Welcome to Bible study. As you know, we started a new series. That series has to do with choices and the choices we make. Last week, do you remember who we studied last week? Say it. His name started with a G. Gideon. That's right. The choices he made were all choices God wanted him to do, which was great. So let's do a little game where you make some choices. And these aren't necessarily right or wrong. These are just rathers. Let's have a little game of would you rather. Just to get you thinking of choices to make. First one. Would you rather have super strength or be invisible? That's a tough one. All right. Next one. Would you rather be able to fly or to breathe underwater? Ooh, those are both very cool. Next, would you rather eat a dead bug or eat a live worm? Not a full plate of worms, just one worm. No, that picture's a full plate. All right, this one's a little tricky. Would you rather never have to do homework again or get paid to do your homework? That one I think is the hardest one. Okay? Would you rather stay inside all day or stay outside all day? I'd say 90% of y'all are going to say inside, where the devices are. All right? Another hard one. Would you rather have many friends or have one very best friend? All right, so each one of those you had to make a choice. Some of those were hard decisions and some of them were real easy because, for instance, like me eating a live worm or a dead bug, I'd probably go dead bug. I don't think I want anything alive in my mouth like that. That's disgusting. So some were real quick and some were kind of hard because thinking about the homework one, I've been thinking about that one since I read it and it's been days and I still don't know which one I'd really choose. That's a tough one because I'd love to have not done any homework. Then also I think if I'd have got money to do it, that'd have been great. So that's probably a hard one. So some choices are real easy and we can decide like that. And some choices are a little harder and a little trickier to make. One choice you have is to memorize God's word. And so we have one memory verse you work for 4 weeks at a time. All y'all can do this. All y'all, doesn't matter how old you are. Like Devin said, 10 seconds a day, you could knock this thing out in 1 week. You'd have it memorized. So let's bring it back to Devin from last week and check out that memory verse one more time.
Here we go. Psalms 119:34. Help me understand your instruction. I will obey and follow it with all of my heart.
All right. Very good job. So now you've gone over it a few more times. Let's see if you can fill in just a couple blanks. If I'm just going to give you a couple blanks each week, maybe we'll do it that way, and then by the end of the week, by the end of the 2 more weeks, you'll have it all. So we'll do it this time. I'm going to throw in just a few blanks. So let's throw it up on the screen. There's going to be some blanks. I'll read it out, and you fill them in. Here we go. Help me your instruction, and I will it with all my heart. Psalm 119:34. All right, did you get those 3 blanks? I hope you did. They were help me understand your instructions, and I will obey it and follow it with all my heart. Okay? So hopefully you're getting that locked in, memorize it. There you go. Good job. New Bible story this week. This one, we deal with someone who doesn't necessarily make the right choice all the time. So I want you to think about, as Devin's telling you this story, as Samson makes choices, which ones were the right choice and which ones weren't the right choice, you think, okay? Because not all these necessarily were the choices that honored God. So check out this story because you're going to get the big picture of Samson today. Not big, but learn everything about him. Check it out.
Good morning, guys. You have caught me in here drinking my coffee. And well, you know, when I like to sit here and drink coffee, I like to think. And I like to think of some awesome stories. And one story that comes to mind is a story of Samson. And so that's the story I want to tell you about today. So Samson, what do we know about Samson? Right? We know that he has long, luscious hair, right? And that you get some power from that hair. So, but that's about all we know. I mean, a lot of times that's all we know about. And so what I want to do is I want to tell you the story of Samson, and not just a little bit of it, but the whole story. You can actually find the story in the book of Judges. Judges chapter 13 through 16 will tell you this entire story. So let's dive right into it and see what this has to tell us. So, Samson, right? An angel appeared to his parents and said, "Your son will be set apart for God's service. You must never cut his hair. He will begin to save Israel from the powerful Philistines." That's what the angel told the parents. So they told him that he's going to be set apart for God, to never cut his hair, and that he was going to save them from the Philistines. And so we know that Samson's people and the Philistines were not the best of friends. They were kind of enemies. And so Samson grew up, and guess what? He saw a Philistine woman that he really, really liked. And this is what he said. He told his parents, "Get her for me as a wife. I want her." And on the way to the women's town, guess what? He got her. And so God's Spirit gave Samson's great power. So much power that a lion charged him. And guess what Samson did? He destroyed that lion. That's exactly right. He was able to tear that lion apart. That's crazy. But he had this strength from God's power, which he said came from his hair. Okay? So remember that. And so Samson had this woman, and he decided to get married. And so at the wedding, he told the Philistines about a riddle about the lion, right? How he was able to kill that lion was from his hair. Now this was a secret that only he knew. And so what the Philistines did was they told his wife or his bride that he was about to marry, and she convinced them how to get his power. Okay, and so because of this, Samson became furious. Like, he was mad because his enemies knew his power, and he did not like that. And so guess what he did? That's right, he killed 30 men. Can you believe that? Yeah, he killed 30 men. And also, his bride that he was going to marry wound up marrying another man. Now, you talk about being mad, that is crazy. And so because of that, out of anger, he burned their fields. The Philistines' fields, he burned them. So take your yard outside. Imagine somebody coming over there and burning it. That's what Samson did. So he was outrageous. Sometime later, he found another woman by the name of Delilah. Now here's something about Delilah. She was also a Philistine woman. And you remember, Samson's people and the Philistines, they didn't really get along too well. But he was like, I still like her, I want to marry her. So guess what? He did. And see, Delilah was more determined and more honorable to her people, the Philistines, than to her husband, Samson. And so each one of the officials offered her 1,100 pieces of silver for Samson to reveal his strength. And so money talks. And so she took that offer and told them, after constantly figuring out where did his strength come from, she found out it was his hair. And so she told the Philistines, and one night while Samson was sleeping, they came in there, shaved off his head, and as they were leaving, she said, "Samson, the Philistines are here. The Philistines are coming." Now, Samson did not realize that his strength was gone. The Philistines captured Samson, blinded him, and forced him to grind grain in the prison. So all of his strength was gone just like that, because his hair was gone. Now, I'm going to pause right here. Do you think that if you have long hair, you're super strong? So does that mean Brother Evan is super weak because he has no hair? That's what it sounds like, but that is not entirely true. Let's keep rolling reading. So the Philistines gathered in their temple to honor a false god, because remember, they captured their enemy. They said this, "Our God has handed over our enemy," the Philistines said. They called for Samson to be brought up so they could make fun of him. Right? Remember, Samson has burned their fields. He's killed 30 men, so he's done some bad things. And now the Philistines have captured him, and things are not looking too hot. But with some help, Samson braced himself against the pillars of the temple. So he's in this false temple. He's got his hands up on these pillars like he's ready to go. And he prayed one prayer. He said, "God, remember me. Strengthen me just one more time." And with that, he took all his might, and he pressed against those pillars, and guess what? The temple fell. His strength was back. But unfortunately, he died through the destruction of the temple. But through that, he was able to kill more Philistines than he had ever killed before. So, you see, life is full of choices. And we talked about that a little bit last week, how life is full of choices. And here, Samson acted out of revenge by killing the 30 men, by burning the fields. So, his goal was to protect his town from the Philistines. But instead of doing that, he tried to marry not one, but two of them. Then he went and killed them and burned them. So he wasn't doing what he was supposed to, but yet at the end of his life, he turned back to God and asked God to give him that strength. And so from that, we can see that the strength does not come from our hair, does not come from our long hair. So Brother Evan, there is hope. But our strength comes from the Lord. And that's what I want you guys to remember, that our strength, when we feel like we can't do it anymore, when we feel like we can't go that extra mile, call upon the Lord, say, "God, remember me, strengthen me," and he will give you that strength. I hope you guys have enjoyed this story, and I will see you guys later.
Thank you, Devin, for that story. What we see is Samson made some decisions that weren't necessarily the best decisions. He ended up in some awful situations. And then when it got to the end of his life, Samson basically turned back to God and said, "God, give me strength this one last time to do what you wanted me to do." And that time was when he destroyed more than he ever had as far as the Philistines went. So basically we see a story of some good choices, some bad choices. But what I want y'all to realize is, let's not make a bunch of bad choices and then get to the end of our life and say, "God, I think I want to do the right thing." Let's try and follow God and make some good choices all along the way. And the way we do that is we make sure we study his word, we make sure we follow his word, and then we make sure we pray and talk to him about choices we make and things we're going to do. Okay? So we have a special trivia game for you as we leave today. So this is your last activity. After the trivia, enjoy us. After the trivia, we hope you join us and enjoy some Brick House.